So I got into snowboarding because we used to play football that was just over the road a few miles away, and we'd come here for food afterwards at the pub. And then there was always someone riding at the time, because the scene was a lot bigger for dryslope before all the snow domes existed. And it was just really good talent riding the slope. So as a kid watching people hit the jump and doing these tricks that were really sick, just immediately made me want to learn how to snowboard. And you get allowed to ride the big slope once you've got checked off on your lessons. And I remember the first thing I did when I got passed off my lessons, I went up to the dropping ramp that's the halfway point and just dropped in and sent it straight off the jump, slammed. But I don't think I ever stopped wanting to go snowboarding after that, to be honest. So in the beginning there was only me and Jamie Nichols that used to ride up here that were kids, and then everyone else up here was just adults or people in their 20s, so we were the only little young guns riding. But they were all so friendly and always helped you progress in snowboarding, and if you had questions. Even though it's dry slope, like the standard of riding that was here and the people that were riding here were doing real tricks, and it wasn't just people doing 360s, people were doing like switchback sevens and really, really dope tricks, even though it's a dry slope jump. So getting to watch that was so sick, and I just loved everything about this place. I started riding the snow dome when I was like 13 or 14, something like that. I think probably one of the first times was for an AIM series event, it was called back then. It used to be like a big series that went round all the domes and the dry slopes on a tour. I lived quite far away from the snow dome when I was a kid, so I'd come on a Thursday or Friday sometimes, but mainly just for an event because it was quite a drive. Then as I got a little bit older, the snow dome actually sponsored me and I was on the team, so started coming a lot more frequently then, and just riding on a Thursday, Friday night most weeks. And that's kind of when the progression started of my rail riding instead of riding jumps as much. I think riding in a snow dome definitely had a big impact on my riding because you learn so many tricks in there on rails because you get so many laps, and you get so used to riding there with the 4 features that are in a line that you get so good at just doing tricks and things like that. And because I'd already kind of had experience riding dry slope, that's what kind of gives you board control and things like that. So learning on dry slope, but then like as I got a little bit older, moving into the snow dome definitely was a benefit for me. And then the progression kind of comes a little bit quicker, I find, that way. So when I was younger, there was definitely a big scene here. A guy called Damien Doyle, who was making British snowboard films at the time, he was a park shaper here, so the parks are always insane, and he was always filming like a video project or something like that, so you always got to see a good standard of riding. But these days the scene's kind of died down a little bit, but for kids coming up, this facility is still such an amazing thing because you get to snowboard 365 days of the year if you want. We've got parks twice a week, and for living in a country like this, parents can't always afford to take you to a mountain to go snowboarding, so it's definitely a positive for kids getting to go snowboarding more. Like a big part of snowboarding in England is not snowboarding and it's like hanging out in a car park at the end of the night and everyone stands around because we have to come on a Friday night, so that's kind of when you make your Friday night happen, is after you've finished, everyone comes out and just hangs out in the car park. And that's one of my favourite parts about it, is it just really brings people together and brings friends together that don't see each other all the time, but you always bump into them at the dome.